it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today we are starting the first seeds of 2024. Okay, this is a very exciting time of year for me. Yes, I'm smiling ear to ear because I love starting seeds. I really enjoy the process. It's taken a lot of years for me to get to the point where I really enjoy the process because I feel like seed starting is a constant education. You're constantly learning new things. You're learning what works well for you, may not work well for others, and vice versa. And I am constantly trying to draw in more information about starting seeds. If you are new to starting seeds, I already have a couple of videos up where I'm talking about different seeds that we start from, cut flowers, seed supplies that we use, just some basic things to help you get started with beginner seeds. So I'm going to link those down in my video description below. And if you're also new to starting seeds, you might enjoy today's video as you can see some very basic starting techniques for these seeds we're going to start, which are going to be Coleus. I am so excited to start growing Coleus from seed. I have been buying Coleus for years and putting it in my garden. Coleus is a beautiful plant that's really grown for its unique and colorful foliage. It does have blooms, but they're kind of underwhelming, the blooms are. So most of us prune off the blooms. But Coleus are really grown for beautiful, unique colors of foliage that have lots of textures and patterns on them. And they're a really great way to add a beautiful pop of color into your garden without having to rely on flowers to do that. Now, a lot of people will take cuttings from their Coleus in late fall, and then they will propagate those cuttings and grow plants over the winter. And you can see some of them back here that I have done that. And now that I've done propagating Coleus, I'm going to do it every year because I absolutely love it. And if you're interested in propagating Coleus, I will also drop that link down in my video description. But today we're not going to be working with propagation. Today we're going to be starting directly from seeds. Now you're like, why, Amanda? Why would you grow directly from seeds for Coleus? A couple of reasons. Reason number one is it allows me to have access to different varieties that I wouldn't necessarily have access to in my nursery. And I love that ability. We're going to be growing 4 different varieties today, and we'll go over those in a few minutes. Secondly, it is more cost effective for me to grow from seed or grow from propagation Coleus instead of buying them over and over each season. Now, Coleus seeds, I feel, are a little bit more expensive than you would typically think a seed is. And so I did kind of gasp at some of the prices when I was ordering them. But understanding that I have 50 seeds, that I'm able to grow these Coleus and then perhaps take propagation cuttings from them in the fall and then overwinter them, I might not have to buy Coleus again or Coleus seeds again for several years. Coleus is actually very easy to grow from seed. However, it takes its slow, sweet time with growth. So it's best to go ahead and start your Coleus seeds about 10 weeks prior to the last frost of your season. If you want to go with a little bit larger plants, you can start a little bit earlier than that. I am at approximately about 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks from the last, frost of the season. My last frost typically is mid-March. Okay, so let's talk about the varieties that we're going to be starting today. These varieties were purchased from 2 different seed companies. The first seed company that I purchased from is Swallowtail Garden Seeds. The first variety I'm starting is called Black Dragon Coleus. Very large, frilled-edged, velvety black leaves, have ruby red centers. Well-branched 18-inch plants are effective in borders or patio containers. Can also be grown indoors on a sunny windowsill. Prefers filter or afternoon shade and moist soil. I got 50 seeds in this pack, and I'll put the cost below. The next variety is called Wizard Velvet Red Coleus, and this is deep velvety red leaves. Compact branching plants grow 12 to 14 inches tall, provide filtered or afternoon shade and moist soil, tolerate sun, heat, and humidity unusually well for a Coleus. And this is also a pack of 50 seeds. Next is the Kong Empire Mix, and Kong Coleus is my favorite Coleus to grow. I typically can only purchase it from a couple of places, including Callaway's and Covington's, and it's kind of a more expensive version of Coleus. So that was really why I started looking for Coleus seeds in the first place, is I want more of these Kong Coleus, which is like these big giant leaves. And so once I located those seeds, then I realized I could grow a bunch of different varieties. So the Kong Empire Mix of Coleus is enormous 6-inch wide leaves with dazzling markings. Mix includes all Kong varieties. Late flowering, vigorous, mounding plants grow 22 inches tall, prefer afternoon or filtered shade and moist soil. And this is only 10 seeds for this entire packet. So definitely more expensive for this. However, I typically pay, $15 for a plant, for a Kong Coleus plant at either Covington's or Callaway's, usually around the $12.99 mark, which is a lot. And so when I was able to get the 10 seeds, even if 5 of them start, I'm in a way better position financially than if I were to go buy those 5 plants at a local nursery. The last variety we're going to be growing, this variety was purchased from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, and this variety is called Calacha Sunset Coleus. It is a burst of tropical sunset colors, and busy frilled leaf edges make this one a unique and eye-catching Coleus. These 12-inch plants are compact and tidy with a full and bushy habit, and the foliage is reminiscent of tie-dye in a kaleidoscope of colors. That sounds gorgeous. You can see that I've also chosen ones that are shorter and some that are taller. The taller ones typically I will cut and bring in for foliage in my arrangements. And Coleus actually works really well for foliage and arrangements. You have to cut it and put it in water immediately, and on the cut you want to cut at an angle. So by cutting at the angle, you're allowing it to take up more water, and you want to allow the Coleus to sit in water inside for a good 24 hours and allow it to soak up water before using it in an arrangement. Okay, go ahead and drop a comment below. Let me know which of those 4 varieties is your favorite. I'll let you know which one is mine later on in the video. So let's talk a little bit about care of Coleus before we get to planting. So Coleus do prefer a little bit of partial sun. However, I have found in my area that Coleus can do full sun if they have a really strong root system and if they have really good water. So making sure that they have drip consistent water during the hottest parts of the summer. Coleus also like to be fertilized often. Online it says every 2 weeks. I don't do that with mine. I typically will just toss in a handful of slow release fertilizer when I'm planting them, and I may or may not hit them with a liquid fertilizer a couple of times throughout the growing season. Now, Coleus does benefit from pruning. You can plant Coleus and allow it to grow one big, beautiful, long, crazy, awesome stem that will eventually flower. If you want it to have a bushier kind of shape, you're going to need to prune it. And basically when you're pruning, you just need to prune above a set of 2 leaves. And that will force the plant to branch out and create a bushier look. Now, I have seen that a lot of people grow Coleus as a houseplant. I have not tried that myself. Kind of, because I've been propagating. So technically these are in my house, and technically they're a plant, and technically I'm growing them in my house as a house plant. But I am giving them ideal situations that are under lights all the time. Apparently Coleus do great as a houseplant. If you're someone who's grown Coleus as a houseplant, I would love to know how your experience has been with that. Drop a comment below and fill us all in. Okay, so let's get started on Coleus seeds. First thing we're going to need is our soil mat and the soil that we're going to be using to grow these seeds. All right, this is my soil mat coming out. This is a just a plastic cheap soil mat. That's actually, this is its 2nd year. It's done really, really well. I've already got some moist soil in here left over from a recent project I did. The soil that I have right here is my Burger BM7 potting soil. This is not a seed starting mix. However, a seed starting mix will work great. I just happen to like this particular variety of soil in that I feel like it's fine enough soil, like fine grained enough soil that I can grow seeds in it no problem. And then this also helps with the potting up situation in that this particular soil already has fertilizer components in it, whereas a seed starting mix does not have any type of fertilizer. So after you start in seed starting mix, you are going to have to fertilize regularly and make sure you pot them up. I do intend on eventually potting up these Coleus seedlings because I want beautiful big plants when I'm ready to plant them in mid-March. The seed starting supplies I'm going to be using today is my set of seed trays. That's from Amazon. These are linked in my Amazon storefront in the video description. It has a seed tray of 12 with holes in the bottom. And all we're going to do is just come across with the soil. You might notice that I am not pre-moistening my soil. That's not something I typically do unless I'm using a seed starting mix. Seed starting mix does have to be pre-moistened because it takes so long for it to suck up moisture. And so basically what I do is I just come across with my soil and put it in here. And then once I put my seeds in here, I fill my reservoir with maybe 60% water, and then I put this in and it sucks up the water very quickly, which works well for me. It's not as big of a mess as starting the soil, like mixing and dampening the soil prior and ahead of time. I also feel like I'm able to fill my containers better with better mix without any kind of holes or air pockets in them when I'm working with a drier base soil. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare 4 trays. And if you're a beginner seed starter, so I am using 2 fingers to lightly pack down the soil a little bit. I'm not wanting to pack it down crazy hard. We want the roots to be able to get through the soil, but we don't want the soil to fall apart when the time comes to remove these plants from the container. So just kind of a light push with 2 fingers will help compact that soil just enough. I think I'm going to start a few more containers. I haven't had time to meet with my friend Kristen to find out if she wants any Coleus, but I'll go ahead and start them because I'll find a place for them in my garden if she doesn't want one, and if not, I'll just give some to one of my neighbors or a local gardener. Y'all, we're going to be starting so many seeds next few weeks. I am psyched. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit that little notification bell. It's a little bell button beside subscribe, and it will send you a notification when I upload a video. I typically upload my videos about 6 a.m. in the morning, and I know that is not the absolute best time to load. I've had a lot of suggestions to move my load time, but one time I got a comment maybe a year or so ago from a subscriber, and I can't remember if it was she was the nurse or her mom was the nurse or they were both nurses, but they both love that it was my videos are posted first thing in the morning because either they were coming off a shift or they were getting ready for a shift, and that worked really well with their schedule. And so I just haven't had the heart to move the start time of my videos because those 2 ladies, they count on my videos before their nursing shift, before they are taking care of others. So I'm like, I'll keep my videos where they're at. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is take the reservoirs or the bottom portions of the seed tray, and I'm going to fill them up at least 50% of the way with water. I like to go a little bit more than 50%. And then once I filled it up with water, I just set the seed tray, and you can very quickly see the seed tray will settle down. You can see it happening in real time because it begins soaking up the water very quickly. Okay, so at this point, we're going to be putting the seeds in each of the containers. So for this first one, we're starting with the Black Dragon Coleus, and we're going to do 2 seed trays with it. It has about 50 seeds, so I'm probably going to put 2 seeds in each of the seed cells. And the Coleus seeds are crazy tiny. They literally look like the actual specks of dirt, of soil. So what's going to happen is I'm just going to take 2 of these and I'm just lightly put them into the top of the soil. These are not to be covered as they need light for germination. So they're just going to be right on top of the soil. Those are the tiniest of tiny seeds. Okay, So I've got those in, and we will do labels for both of them. The most important thing to do is once you've got your seeds in, just make sure that you put the dome on top and that the humidifier is closed. And then we are going to put these on heat mats, as these need to be kept at about 70 to 75 degrees. So they definitely benefit from a bottom heat until they germinate. So I've got my heat mat set up behind me, and we'll get that going. Slow it down for the last Coleus, because that is that Kong Coleus. And I'm sure the seeds look the same, but there's only 10 of them in here. And oh, okay, these are pelleted, which makes me excited because it's easier to see them. So they have a coating that dissolves easily on them that allows me to put the seed in the exact right place. And allows me to see it better since it's such a small seed. And it looks like I have 11. We'll take it. So I'm just going to place one seed on each of these cells. All right, and we're good to go on the Kong Coleus. Okay, and then you can see I have heat mats back here. These heat mats currently have begonias on them. It feels a little light. When my seeds that I am trying to germinate feel light, like the container feels light, I go back and add some more water. Even though I've got the humidity dome closed, I just want to make sure that they're not drying out, because especially like begonia seeds, they take a long time to germinate. And I might have messed those up by not realizing that they were light. So they might have dried out. All right, and we'll go ahead and put our Coleus on these heat mats. Now, once the Coleus have germinated, you remove them from the heat mats. They're fine. You take the lids off the top, you remove them from the heat mats, and they're good to go. You do not have to keep them on the heat mats. I'm going to need to add another heat mat real quick. I only own, I think, 4 heat mats total. Yeah, that's right. Which works really well for me. They are like, when they're not heated up, the plastic isn't very flexible. As soon as it heats up, it'll be fine. All right, and then I'm just going through making sure that all my lids are in place and have good contact. Okay, there we go. First seeds of 2024 started. Now, did want to point out, I already started some seeds in December. I started my petunias and my begonias. And petunias, I actually did a recent video where I potted them up to the next level. They're all doing really good. Begonias, I think maybe I'm at a 40 to 50% germination rate, which isn't awesome, but it's better than 0. It's a whole experience. Oh, wow. But my Coleus, I'm excited about that. Okay, so for Coleus seeds, they take about 12 to 21 days to germinate. They do need a warm kind of feeling. So I have mine on heat mats. That's a bottom warmer. They need to be about 70 to 75, but they can germinate between anywhere from 65 to 85 degrees. So they can be a little bit warmer if necessary. The seeds do not like to be covered with soil. They need to be right on top, and you need to have them under lights in order to get germination. They need the light for germination. They can be direct sowed, and I've definitely had Coleus in the past that's dropped its seeds and then they've just sowed themselves and started new seeds before. They can be done, but the seeds are so small that a lot of times they can get whipped away in the wind, or it's difficult to keep them moist enough outside during that 12 to 21 days of germination. And if you're wanting to start Coleus, you need to start about 10 weeks prior to the last frost date. Now, if your last frost date is less than 10 weeks away, you can still start. You're fine. You're just not going to have them out like right at the beginning of spring. You still have plenty of time. I know a lot of people who start Coleus seeds in beginning of summer so that they have a whole new round of fresh Coleus for the fall. So you can definitely still start Coleus from seeds if you're in one of the warmer climates. Now, you can also collect Coleus seeds. You can allow your Coleus to bloom, and then those blooms will drop tons of little black shiny seeds. You can absolutely collect those. However, unless you are making sure there's no cross-pollination, which is a very hard thing to do, you'd have to have it in a greenhouse and nothing else in there, and it's a whole shebang. Since you're not guaranteeing that it hasn't been cross-pollinated, those seeds might not produce the same plant as the mother plant. So that's something to remember. However, that's kind of fun and exciting, so I might try to do that this next year, collect some Coleus seeds and start them and see what happens. All right, I will keep you updated on these seeds. Be sure to check out my community tab on my YouTube channel. That's where I've been posting some additional pictures of stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and I will definitely be posting pictures of the seedlings on there. Also, make sure that you like and comment on this video. It helps the whole algorithm situation with my videos to help me grow my channel. But I really just like to hear from y'all. I like to hear what's going on with your gardens, what's going on with your thoughts, and I love to hear your experiences with whatever I'm doing in my video. Like I said earlier, one thing as a gardener is you learn things that work better for you that might not work well as for others, and vice versa. And the only way to learn is to learn from other gardeners. So the more information we share, the better gardeners we're all going to be for it. And make sure you check me out on my social media. That's TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I do lots of things on all of those as well. But let's see these Coleus seeds. I'm super excited for Coleus and the amount of money that I'm saving by growing these from seed. Very excited about that. All right, you all. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.